Choujin X chapter 47. Now, the official release has came out sometime, at least West Coast time. It was like 2 a.m. or something like that. I didn't read the fan translations. I usually just look at the pictures when the raw comes out and then read the official release and then make these videos pretty much right after the fact so I get you that natural reaction, right? Now, as far as chapter 47, I can say that I am satisfied with this chapter, and I would honestly say that I feel as though a bond was developed here, and not just between the characters within the story, but as a reader as well. I think that this extended route has allowed a greater interest in a character such as Nude, and of course it was nice to see familiar faces in Sato and Roja. But to begin with Nude, I gotta say his ability has become my personal favorite of this series, and I feel like with enough thought, there could be a whole series written based on the mechanics of Nude's power. It's simple in the sense that there are some fundamental rules, one being that having prior knowledge of which card you intend to put in play results in its decrease of effect time as well as strength. The second rule is that utilizing a larger deck results in an applied power boost for each card put in play, and this is due to a probability decrease of selecting any one specific card. And the third rule is that utilizing a deck containing cards that will cause its holder personal harm will also result in an additional power boost to the cards put in play. So the bigger the risk, the bigger the payoff, making this a power system that allows for diverse applications depending on the situation. And if this was a different manga where the main characters had access to Nude's game, then that diversity would be extended to personality types as well as play styles, meaning we would have aggressive players, conservative players, and everything in between, all depending on how much you lean on strategy versus faith. Now, as for Nude's character, we are beginning to see him in a sympathetic light as Palma explains that Nude was likely overreacting to the taste of food as a coping mechanism to deal with the fact that his senses are beginning to dull. Palma is also drawn in a way where you can tell she has a level of sorrow for Nude, as she knows it's often hard for those to adjust to the death or dying process. And in this way, she reminds me of Tokio, where we can still see her sympathize with someone who could also be seen as a villain. And in later panels, we also see Tokio beginning to question the ethics of his own choice of words, what has become of Nude, and also wonders if Nude could ever truly be happy in his current situation. Now, by the end of this chapter, and I'm not talking about that thickness, I ain't talking about the thickness, but by the end of that chapter, we are hit with some more prophecy talk. And this happened a bit earlier too when we got the Roja and Sato conversation. Ely seen that, Tokio was a bit off, right? She mentions this by the end of the chapter. And I gotta say, as a reader, even for myself, I'm feeling as if I'm starting to understand where Sato was coming from when he was mentioning the fact that Tokio, you're a bit too kind-hearted, right? One day that is going to get in the way. And we are starting to see the effects of this. And that's not to say that Tokio is wrong and shouldn't attempt to see situations from a greater perspective. However, his feelings towards Zora and the prophecy is causing Tokio to now become hesitant. And remember, hesitation means death. We are currently on the island where Zora's opium is located, and you are now admitting belief in the prophecy. This could also be what Sato meant when he criticized Tokio's lack of follow-through. Now, as far as Ely, she is my MVP for this chapter because she came out and admits that not only does she not want to believe in either Mato or Zora, but that she also wants to take the power of Zora. And by this, I do not believe she means that she will accept the beast mark, but that Ely will attempt to use her own ability and steal the power. Now, there are two main reasons I believe Ely wants to achieve this. One, of course, being that she wants to help Tokio, but the second reason I believe has to do with Ely's issue with destiny. By this point, we are all aware of Ely's backstory and how her mother was a known criminal, which caused the desire within Ely to become the opposite of her mom. But that wouldn't change the fact that they were still related, which also causes the internal fear that Ely may one day become just like her mother. And similar to not wanting to be tied to the tale of her mother, Ely would rather trust in herself as opposed to a prophecy told by Zora or Mato. In this case, once again, Ely is choosing to take matters into her own hands, specifically her right hand, in which you can see she holds up in this panel. And this was a solid detail because if you have have noticed, each time Ely has taken an ability, it has been with her right hand. And this is also the hand she raises when she remembers her grandpa and her history with her mother. Now, one final thing to note about this whole situation is, once again, Azuma is on the outs. And no, this has nothing to do with a love triangle or Ely and Tokio becoming greater friends, but in the sense that currently Azuma has no place in an endgame situation with Zora. Tokio knows he can take the mark. Ely believes that she can steal the power. Now, we as readers know that Batista has a plan for Azuma, but as for Zora, she has no need for Azuma, and as for Ely and Tokio, each of them are expressing their own thoughts in secrecy. Now, as far as the rest of this series goes, I believe that there are probably going to be like 2 main events, like 2 more main big battle events, but each having their own fights within those. So I still think that there's a good amount of story left. We still going up. I'll see y'all chapter 48, which I hear is dropping sometime soon. Who knows when it gets translated, but until next time, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all of that. Peace.